Okay, I was always asked about bands I was in, which ones were my favorite ones I played in, which ones I didn't like. And I'll tell you a story about the one I didn't like. It was a band called Only Flesh. I had met the singer Rev through a friend of mine who had a tattoo shop back in 2011. And they said that he was putting his band together. He needed a bass player and a drummer. Or you play bass, they're on a label, you're gonna make money, you're gonna tour and all this shit. So I was like, okay. And I was given some CDs and DVDs. And I seen like all these like people at this show on the DVDs, which I'll get to later. I mean, I thought this band was big and everything. So I went and saw them before, I joined and everything. So, I mean, the show was okay. So about a month later, I joined them, and Rev went and gave me these two basses, and he was like, "Oh yeah, you can have these basses. I really don't care about them." So they weren't playable. The one, the neck was severely bent, and the other one was just in pieces. It was like a five string. I don't play a five string to begin with. So, I wound up selling them, because he said I could have them. So I used that money to put into the bass I had. I went and got strings. I had my amp worked on and stuff. So anyway, I played my first show with them. Not long after that, at the 42nd Street Club in Greensburg, and I had a good time. A lot of my friends were there and stuff. So anyway, next thing I know, I was going on some kind of tour with them out to Indianapolis. And I just remember being out there, and not too many people showed up at the show. I mean, there was maybe only 10 people in the audience plus the opening band. And after the show, the guys decide they're gonna go party it up. So, we stopped at a bar, stayed till it closed. Mind you, I don't drink. And next thing I know, there was an only other bar open was this like cantina looking strip club. I don't know what it was, but when we got there, two cops searched us at the door. Um, we walk in with this zombie makeup on, and I mean, these people were just staring at us. I mean, they were all Latino, and a couple guys sitting in a corner. I seen Latin King tattoos, and I'm like, shit. I mean, I can tell when I'm not wanted, and nothing against Latin Kings, respect, but I'm not going to go encroach on someone's territory. So, we're there, they're acting a fool. I'm sitting there, shitting myself, thinking, these guys are going to get in trouble. So finally, the bar closed. We went out in the parking lot. Rev was out there acting a fool, telling people, no, no, you can't go home. We're just partying. And next thing I know, there was a guy getting on the phone. He was calling some dudes up. And I'm like, man, we better get the fuck out of here. So after that, the drummer Lefty went on record as saying that I said I hate Mexicans. And I never said that. All I said was our lives were put in danger because, people playing a fool because they can't handle their liquor. And I'm not putting myself in danger because of a couple idiots. And mind you, it was cold up there. I mean, this is probably about November. And it's like the further north you get, the colder it gets. So, like, the next day, they were bitching and everything else about me. And we went to Columbus, Ohio. And it was fucking cold, man. I mean, Jesus. They had like one of them suspension shows. I stayed in the van to cover it up, man. I put like a ton of fucking blankets and whatever else was in there on me. I mean, it was fucking cold. So I fell asleep afterward. We spent the night at someone's house. Next day, they went and did their suspension in the woods. And we got back home and everything. And I just remember thinking, like, what the hell am I doing, because just the way these guys were, they were just weren't friendly. They were weird. and they talk shit behind your back and everything. And I'm like, well, I'm just gonna stay on because there's this big tour coming up in December, and I'm gonna, do this. So, yeah, we had that. So the tour come up. We left. We went to where was it? The first show we played was in somewhere in Ohio. I think it was Cincinnati. Um, so on this show here, it was just an open stage. This was no set gig. It was an open stage. So I really didn't have much fun. After that, we hit the road and everything. We hit the Midwest. We played another show in Indianapolis. No one was there. I mean, us in an opening band, we were the only ones there. I mean, there was nobody at these shows. And just being in that band with those guys, I mean, I'm going to tell you, when you spend 24/7 with somebody in a van for a couple weeks, you really get to know them. And just the way they acted and the way they were behaving, I mean, it was unreal. I mean, they didn't act like fucking adults. I mean, they were acting like, oh, this is rock and roll. I'm like, whatever, man. I've been in a ton of bands, and I did my share of partying and everything else, but none of my bands I was in ever did the shit that they did. I mean, they're taking pictures of themselves sitting on a toilet eating Doritos and drinking whiskey, and just other stupid shit. I mean, they were acting like, a bunch of 5-year-old girls at this point. And I mean, I just know I didn't really, want to be there because my dad was in the hospital at the time. And I was kind of hoping something would happen where I would have to go home, but nothing bad, but just bad enough to where I would have to leave this tour. And we got down to St. Louis, and they're throwing a hissy fit down there because, I really wasn't told very much. I know we got there, we were in the van, and Rev and Damien start fighting. I don't know what it was about, and it was just really dumb. And Rev spent the night in the van. He didn't want to be with us. And, we were in the hotel room, just having a bit of fun. I mean, these guys, they have like, laptops and all this other shit. And, at the time, I didn't know nothing. I just had a cell phone. I didn't even have a Facebook account at that time. So, and I mean, these guys, they had money. And it was just kind of weird because I just, after we played in St. Louis, I just noticed, they had some money on them. And, it just really didn't dawn on me. But when I was in St. Louis, I remember when we were on stage, I turned my bass off. And people were there just to see the freak show. He was like cutting his eyebrows and everything. And I'm thinking, what the hell am I doing? What am I doing in this band? So then we went to Arkansas, and that was actually a show where there were people that showed up. And after that show, we went to stay at a band's house. And, they were really nice people. And I kind of pushed it because I'm like, yeah, these are people, they're nice and everything. And Rev's like, oh, they're a bunch of fucking hippies. You just wanted to go hang with the fucking hippies. I'd rather have hung out with those hippies, than hung out with some of the other people that were there. So Rev, he isolated himself. I went out, I enjoyed myself with these people because, they were all down to earth. And the next day they made breakfast for us and everything. And next thing I know, we're on our way back, and they're just talking shit on these people. And I'm like, what did these people do that was so horrible, Oh, they just wanted the cool band to hang out at their house, figured you'd like these people. And the keyboard player, Greg, pulls out a pair of panties, and he's like, oh, look what I stole out of her hamper. I'm like, yeah, you're fucking disgusting. I mean, these people were real nice to us, and you're talking fucking shit on them. You steal the girl's panties. So we get to Memphis, and we got in a hotel there, and I'm feeling more, isolated from the band. I mean, they just, were cutting me out of a lot of shit. Like when I was in St. Louis, I went off on my own for a bit, and they got pissed off because I went off on my own. I'm like, well, no one's fucking talking to me, so why the hell should I hang out with anybody? I'm being treated horribly at this point. So, in Memphis, it was kind of cool because we played a show for this motorcycle club called the Knights of Thor. They were really hospitable. They were really nice to us. The chapter president gave me a pair of leather gloves. Really nice guy. And then the next day we played in Nashville, and I just knew this was like the last. I'm like, after we get home, I'm fucking leaving. And the people in Nashville, they were really nice to us and everything, and we got hooked up with a place to stay. So, but it was just, on the way back, it just, Rev was just talking all this shit on me. Just, they were saying, oh, I hate fucking Jews, Jews this, Jews that. And I do have some Jewish heritage, which I found offensive. Well, you said you fucking hate Mexicans. Like, I never fucking said that, this dude just put us in danger one night. We could have got killed. You don't run around a fucking parking lot, tell them, oh, you can't go home. You can't go home. We go to party. So anyway, I was so glad to get home. And I just remember I went home. I slept for like a couple of days. I just, didn't want to deal with anybody at this point. Then after I left, and then after that, I went up to the tattoo shop. I said, Rev, give me my fucking amp. I'm out of the band. I've had enough of this bullshit. And I got my amp. I went home, and I was like, oh, thank God. It kind of sucked because I wanted to continue playing, but I didn't want to play, these fucking stupid games. So about a week later, I was in Connellsville. I had to go pick somebody up or something, and I stopped at the mini mart there, and the girl recognized me because I was in her with Lefty because he lived down there, and she was asking me, she is, oh, hey, what about all that money you made? I'm like, what money? She's like, oh, Lefty was in here with all this cash, and he said you guys made $2,000 a piece. I'm like, I never saw a fucking dime of that. So I called up Rev. He's like, oh, you just went along for the ride, you fucking homo. You talk about some anti-Semitism and some name calling. So, I was kind of after them for a while for my money, and then Lefty was like, oh, you said you hated Mexicans. I never said I hated Mexicans, which, shows the mentality of these people. So after that, I remember there was a big fight, I called them up, because I had it at this point, and Lefty's like, oh, Dwayne's on the phone. What should I do? What should I do? Why can't you think for your fucking self? And I remember he gave the phone to Rev. Rev called me a homo, and I said, well, I hope you guys crash your van. And no sooner I said that, they crashed into the back of a chicken truck, which I do have the power. So, anyway, the last show I played with them was in Pittsburgh. I had to come back. I did a show with them, and that was that. That was it. So, anyway, that was the most horrible experience I've had being in a band. I would never play with those guys again. And then the year after that, I remember some kid come up to me and he's like, "Oh, here, I'm the bass player of this band. You got to check us out." He gives me an Only Flesh card. I'm like, "Yeah, dude, you replaced me. Yeah, you're not going to last very long in that band. I gave you 6 months tops." He goes, "Oh, no, 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 Rev's cool, Rev's cool." Well, lo and behold, this guy was in the band maybe 6 months, and they kicked him out too. Nobody lasted in that band. It was terrible. Not, just, I think people lasted maybe 6 months to a year, and that was it. They were out of that band. Then he went and spread rumors about me. They said, oh, Dwayne's a heroin addict. But in the meantime, Red was shoving coke up his nose. I was no heroin addict. I was just a bunch of made up bullshit. I was on medication for my back, but other than that, I was no heroin addict. And I was, just after a while, I was just glad to get these guys out of my life. And, I'd never join this shit again. It was just something that it was a very bad experience. And even now, I've had trouble getting into bands because of these people. They've spread all kinds of lies and rumors about me. And it's like, why? I mean, you got me out of the band, just do your thing and I'll do mine. But obviously they, couldn't do that. So, I mean, it was bad. I'm glad I left that band. They cut me out of a lot of pictures on their videos and everything. And, it just shows that, little girl mentality, you know. So anyway, that's my story. I mean, they can say whatever the hell they want to. I don't care. But never again. But yeah, I was in a couple really other good bands. I played in a band called Radioactive, Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers, The Junk, Velvet Hollow was my favorite band because I mean I was friends with all those people. We all knew one another for years when we had this going, and we just broke up. The guitar player, he had diabetes and just wasn't well, and everybody just kind of wanted to do their own thing after a while. I was in another band called The Junk, and we just kind of phased out and got back together later on as the Vicious Knids with a new drummer. And that drummer was lefty, of course, because this guy here just seemed like every band I was in with him, he'd get in the band and he'd just talk some shit. And I don't want to get into it, but I've had good experiences in other bands, but this is the only band I've really hated. So yeah, that's my story. I'm speaking out, and if anybody wants to play some real music, give me a call or whatever, and we'll do that. I like old mod revival and the stuff from the '60s. So anyway, cheers. Nice talking to you all. My story. Bye bye.